He was the happiest man ever to play football, a genius from poverty who made the whole world smile. In 2005, Ronaldinho stood alone as the best player on earth. By 2020, he sat inside a Paraguayan prison cell, arrested with a fake passport. How does football's most joyful genius become its most painful fallen star? That untold story begins not with glory, but with a funeral in Porto Alegre. Ronaldo de Assis Moreira was born on March 21, 1980, in the working-class neighborhood of Vila Nova in Porto Alegre. His father, João de Assis Moreira, a shipyard welder and amateur midfielder, taught him to play with 2 touches in their modest yard. But in 1988, when Ronaldo was only 8 years old, João suffered a fatal heart attack and drowned in the family's swimming pool. The sudden tragedy left the household emotionally devastated and financially broken. His mother, Donna Miguelina, immediately took on double shifts, working as a cosmetics saleswoman by day and a nurse by night to keep the family alive. Ronaldo's older brother, Roberto de Assis Moreira, himself a rising professional player, stepped in as a vital father figure and early protector. Amidst this sudden instability, the narrow, unpaved streets and local futsal courts became Ronaldo's refuge. Football was no longer just a childhood game. In the shadow of grief and poverty, the ball became an absolute necessity, the family's ultimate hope for survival, and a quiet boy's only way to escape a home that had lost its anchor. At age 7, the Grêmio Youth Academy welcomed the quiet boy from Vila Nova. But it was on the cramped concrete futsal courts of Porto Alegre that his supernatural control took shape. Futsal demanded instant decisions and millimeter precision. In these tight spaces, he learned to manipulate the ball with his soul, executing rapid-fire elasticos and deceptive no-look passes that left defenders frozen. Grêmio youth scouts quickly realized they were witnessing something entirely unprecedented. The raw promise of the streets was hardening into a terrifying competitive weapon. In 1993, at just 13 years old, the whisper of his genius became a national roar. During a youth fixture, his team secured a staggering 23-0 victory. Ronaldinho scored all 23 goals. It was an impossible, cartoonish feat that shattered any remaining doubts. The boy who had played simply to survive was suddenly a national phenomenon, and Brazilian football realized it had a prodigy like no other. On July 20th, 2003, FC Barcelona finalized a €30 million transfer to sign the 23-year-old playmaker from Paris Saint-Germain. The historic Catalan club was mired in a years-long trophy drought, desperate for a new leader. Ronaldinho immediately answered. From his first spectacular home goal against Sevilla, a 30-yard strike at midnight that shook the stadium foundations, he turned Barcelona into the center of the football universe. He delivered victories, but he also transformed 90 minutes of sport into a global cultural event. His signature elasticos, rapid-fire tricks, and constant, infectious smile captured the world's imagination. By the 2005 to 2006 season, he was untouchable, leading Barcelona to a dominant domestic league title and a Champions League trophy while scoring 26 goals across all competitions. The definitive confirmation of his supremacy arrived on November 28, 2005, at a gala in Paris. Earning 225 voting points from the international jury, Ronaldinho easily outpaced Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard to claim the Ballon d'Or. At 25 years old, he stood alone at the absolute summit of global sport, playing with a level of creative freedom that made him the most celebrated human being in the game. In 2004, a quiet 16-year-old from Argentina named Lionel Messi walked into the Barcelona first-team dressing room. In the cutthroat world of elite European football, a young prodigy of that scale is usually seen as a direct threat to the established star. But instead of protecting his territory, Ronaldinho took the teenager under his wing. He sat Messi next to him in the locker room, shielded him from intense media pressure, and introduced him to the squad as his little brother. The guidance was never about rivalry. It was a rare act of genuine protection inside an elite environment. During a match in May 2005, Ronaldinho scooped a delicate, signature no-look pass over the defense, setting up Messi's first official goal. As the teenager ran to celebrate, he leaped onto Ronaldinho's back, a moment that captured the quiet passing of the torch. Ronaldinho knew this teenager would eventually take his crown, yet he chose to nurture him anyway. In a career defined by brilliant spectacles, this quiet generosity proved he was far more than a simple performer. By the summer of 2006, the discipline that sustained Ronaldinho's genius began to fracture. Following a disappointing World Cup campaign, his commitment to training eroded under the weight of late-night parties and endless nightlife. His former manager, Luis Fernandez, had long warned of this lifestyle, and now those habits caught up with him in Barcelona. Teammates observed a sharp drop in his daily work rate, with reports surfacing of late arrivals and missed sessions. The physical toll was immediate. Within a compressed 2-year window, the undisputed best player on earth became a physical shadow of himself, his name appearing more often in local gossip columns than the team sheet. By the 2007 to 2008 season, the playmaker who had once brought rival stadiums to their feet was relegated to the Barcelona bench. His signature smile remained, yet the athletic intensity that enabled his creativity was gone, leaving a brilliant career on the brink of collapse. In July 2008, Barcelona sold their former icon to AC Milan for 21 million euros. The San Siro offered a prestigious sanctuary, but the breathtaking bursts of acceleration were now rare, replaced by sporadic flashes of his former self. By 2011, Europe had closed its doors, forcing a return to Brazil. He signed with Flamengo, then migrated to Atlético Mineiro, where he captured a Copa Libertadores in 2013. Yet each move felt like a step further from the global spotlight. A brief final stint with Mexican club Querétaro in 2014 confirmed the trajectory. The crowd still gathered, eager to catch a glimpse of the legend, but they were chasing a ghost. Ronaldinho was no longer the centerpiece of world football. He was a traveling exhibition of a genius that used to be. On March 6, 2020, Ronaldinho and his brother Roberto arrived in Asunción, Paraguay for a promotional event. Within hours, local police searched their hotel suite, finding fake Paraguayan passports carrying their names and photos. The charges were baffling, yet the consequences were immediate. The global icon who once bypassed borders on the strength of his name alone was escorted to a high-security prison. He spent 32 days inside the prison, sleeping in a basic cell and playing futsal with inmates on a concrete court. Contraband photos of his famous smile behind bars went viral, sparking a wave of global disbelief and pity. After 5 months of total detention, including house arrest in a luxury hotel, a judge accepted a plea deal and a payment of $200,000 in fines. In early 2021, Ronaldinho returned to Brazil, his arrival marked by a quiet and fragile re-entry rather than a triumphant homecoming or a clean exoneration. He had survived the humiliation, but the damage was permanent. Over the following months, the public shock slowly softened into a protective nostalgia. Brazilian fans chose to remember the pure joy he had once given the world, offering their forgiveness slowly as the memories of the jail cell began to fade. Ronaldinho's journey reminds us that talent alone is never enough. It leaves us with a haunting question. Can a smile be both a gift and a curse? Perhaps his tragedy was ours too, demanding his joy while ignoring his pain. Share your thoughts in the comments below.